The President reiterates that state officials should provide proper solutions to people's problems without waiting for them to present it. A threat of landslides and earth slips looms in several areas in the country. 90% of landmine clearing in northeast areas has been completed. Australia grants 4.6 billion rupees to improve the education field in Sri Lanka. 90 people killed in violent acts following a shell attack in Syria.
Well, those were the headlines, and taking a look at news in detail now. President Mahinda Rajapaksa reiterates that the responsibility of the state officials is to provide solutions for people's problems without waiting for them to submit it. He added that the officials who receive salaries from public money should contribute their share fully to the government's development program. The President expressed these views when he addressed the Polonnaruwa District Special Development Committee today. The meeting was held at Sudu Araliya Hotel Auditorium in Polonnaruwa this morning. The President directed officials to implement a suitable program to prevent the wastage of water. Attention was focused on the reconstruction of tanks and anecut. The President issued instructions to officials to create awareness on minimizing environmental damage caused due to the usage of chemical fertilizer and agrochemicals. The importance of inquiring as to whether the road development activities in the district is being carried out in accordance with the proper standard as well as to accelerate these activities have been emphasized. The President pointed out that Central Cultural Fund should pay more attention on improving infrastructure facilities for tourists and to conserve important places in the Polonnaruwa historic sacred area. Discussions were also centred on tackling teachers' shortage in remote areas in the district and to supply pipe-borne drinking water and electricity for rural schools. The President noted that all projects should be implemented to coincide with the 2013 Dare to Kerala exhibition in the East. He added that decisions taken at any meetings chaired by him should be implemented by the officials. If they cannot implement it, they should explain the reasons to him in writing immediately. Several ministers and MPs, government officials attended the Special Development Committee meeting.
Yet on local news, a threat of landslides and earth slips emerged due to a prevailing raining weather condition in Ratnapura, Kegol, Kalutara, Gaul, Matara and Nuraliya districts as well as areas surrounding Hatton Avisavela Road. This warning was issued by the Building Research Organisation. Lewanduwa Avittava Road in Vallavita area, Mathugama, was 5 feet underwater owing to heavy rain. Several shops at Valipanna town at Mathugama have been inundated. Our correspondent said that transportation on Mathugama-Aludgama Road at Kohilavala area was disrupted due to floods. 10 families in Amugoda Gaul have been displaced and they have been provided with temporary shelter at Amugoda Vidyalaya. The Disaster Management Centre says that the displaced were provided with food and dry rations with the assistance of the Divisional Secretariat. Kurupanava Kammaddegoda South Road in Nagoda was impassable as a result of the rising water level at Ginganga. Heavy rain is being experienced in several areas located in the western slope of the Central Hills as a result of southwest monsoon prevailing in the country. The head of Education Services on landslides of the National Building Research Organisation, RMS Bandara, said that the people should be cautious on taking place in the land around owing to rain. A stock of roofing sheets and kitchen utensils were distributed among 102 flood-affected families in the Munragala district. This program will be implemented in all affected districts and the Ministry of Disaster Management has allocated 30.4 million rupees for this purpose.
Well, licenses are to be issued for gold mining at Kelaniya Riverbed in Pugoda. Applications were issued today for this purpose following a discussion with the residents. These licenses will be issued next Tuesday considering the suitability of the applicants. African continent is considered as a major gold mine in the world. The production of gold is the main economic strategy in the African region. Pearls, gems, diamonds and gold are the most valuable natural resources in the world. According to historic data, there was gold mines in Sri Lanka as well. Large crowds have begun to flock to the banks of the Kelaniya River at Pugoda to pan for gold in the river a few days ago. Geological Survey and the Mines Bureau has banned the search for gold in the Kelaniya riverbed as a large number of people have resorted to panning for gold. Minute particles of gold had been found mixed with sand, and the people believe that it could be separated by panning. The chairman of the Bureau, Dr. N.P. Vijayananda, said the licenses will be issued to citizens over 18 years of age for gold mining in the area.
The government says that 90% of landmine clearing in the northeast has been completed. A sum of 9 billion rupees was spent so far towards this end. The landmine clearing operations began soon after the end of the 30-year tiger terrorism in the island in 2009. According to the annual report of the Finance Ministry, 1,577 square kilometre area in the northeast has been cleared of landmines from 2009 to 2011. Only 124 square kilometre area is yet to be cleared with landmines at present. Over 640 villages were under the threat of landmines laid by terrorists, and the aim of the government is to clear all landmines by the year 2020.
Well, the Archaeology Department informs the Judicial Service Commission about an incident of granting bail for several suspects allegedly involved in treasure hunting in Vavuniya. According to the Archaeology Ordinance, suspects connected to treasure hunting cannot be granted bail. 7 suspects who were engaged in the theft of artifacts damaging an ancient Dagaba at Ulukulama area in Vavuniya have been taken into custody. They were produced before the Vavuniya magistrate on the 12th of this month. They were released on bail on the 15th. The Vavuniya Magistrate Court said that the Archaeology Department has been informed to submit a report on the site where the artifact robbery took place. The department reiterates that it has not received any such directive till the release of suspects on personal bail of rupees 100,000 each. Answering to a question raised by an MP on this incident in Parliament, Minister Dr. Jagat Balasuriya mentioned this. We're into a short break.
Continue with news here at home. 43 more houses built under the Api Venu and Api housing project have been vested in war heroes. The housing project was implemented in the Polonnaruwa district under the 9th stage of the Api Venu and Api initiative. President Mahinda Rajapaksa handed over the ownership of houses among war heroes today. As a token, the president handed over the keys of a fully-fledged house built in Karandagolla, Alahara to JMEJ Ekanayaka of Sri Lanka Air Force. A ceremony to hand over these houses to the other war heroes was held at Polonnaruwa Bakmuna Mahasen Madhya Mahavidyalaya. The keys of houses and set of furniture and household utensils were handed over on behalf of 29 army personnel who died and were disabled in the battlefront, and those who are currently in service, as well as 6 Navy personnel and 8 Air Force personnel. 263 houses of war heroes are built countrywide with the financial assistance of Api Venu and Api Housing Fund. The Polonnaruwa War Heroes Housing Project was implemented under the full supervision of the Chairperson of Defence and Urban Development Ministry, Seva Vanita Unit, Ayoma Rajapaksha. School equipment was distributed among children of war heroes' families. UG Mutbanda, a gem businessman in Alahara, presented 1 million rupees for the Api Venu and Api Fund. Addressing the ceremony, Presidential Secretary Lalit Veeratunga said wives and children of war heroes who sacrifice their lives are suffering from the unpleasant reality of war. Soldiers who have given first place to the motherland and in their hearts replacing their wives and children spent their time in the battlefront, sacrificing the time that should be spent with their loved ones. This was indicated in the Mahinda Chintana Forward Vision Policy Program put forward by the President Mahinda Rajapaksa when he was canvassing for the presidential election for the second time. He quoted the president as saying that certain children were waiting for the arrival of their father who died on the battlefront. That is because their minds are filled with thoughts of their father who returned home a few months ago, bringing gifts for them. Several ministers and MPs, Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa and Chief of Security Forces graced the occasion.
Sri Lanka Army ru10 children. Sri Lanka Army ru10 Children of the War Hero Society has organized a march in Colombo. The aim is to raise funds and to obtain sponsorship to improve education of children of war heroes affected by the war and the children in the northeast. ru10 march began from Galle Face this morning. Around 3,000 children of families of war heroes and members of the ru10 Society participated. Participants of the march returned to the Galle Face via Slave Island, Duplication Road, Bambalapitiya and Galle Road. The Ranavira Society said that their target was to obtain sponsorship of 2 million rupees for education and welfare of these children. Army Commander Lieutenant General Jagat Jayasuriya, Navy Commander Vice Admiral Somatilaka Dissanayaka, MP Namal Rajapaksa and the chairperson of the Sri Lanka Army Seva Vanitha branch, Manjulika Jayasuriya, were present.
Still on stories here at home, the World Bank has praised Sri Lanka's economic development achieved after 3 years of ending the war. This was stated by the country director of the World Bank to Sri Lanka and Maldives, Mrs. Dairiteu Gaye, in an exclusive interview with Rupavahini.
There has been tremendous progress, between the time the war ended and where we are today. This country tremendous progress. I don't know many countries which, after such a conflict, would grow at 8% 3 years after.
The World Bank says Sri Lanka's aim of improving investment, supporting structural shifts and improving living standards as a middle-income country will be the focus of its new 4-year program.
We'll be working in particular in this area on health, education, and really I think what we were doing the consultation was around job creation. So the whole environment that we talked about before on promoting growth will be what will give people jobs, because at the end of the process what you want is for people to have jobs.
A photographic exhibition to depict the brutality of 3-decade-old tiger terrorism in Sri Lanka was opened at the Sri Lankan Embassy premises in Oslo, Norway yesterday. Sri Lankan ambassador in Norway, Rodney Pereira, is the organizer of the exhibition. A large number of Tamils living in that country had extended their fullest support. The aim is to give visual media reply for the false propaganda campaign being carried out by certain persons against Sri Lanka. Photographs of state leaders as well as Sinhala and Tamil people's representatives who were assassinated by the tiger terrorists are being exhibited. Among the photographs were pictures of babies who were killed in terrorist bomb attacks, extraordinary instances of humanitarian operations, and photographs depicting the sympathy extended by the Sri Lankan troops for Tamils. The progress of accelerated development projects such as Northern Spring, Uttara Vasantha, the Eastern Awakening, Naginehira Navodaya was a highlight at the exhibition. A video on special instances of the humanitarian operation will also be screened. This was the first time that such a photographic exhibition is being held in a Western country under the directions of a Tamil organization.
Meanwhile, the Australian government decides to provide financial assistance to Sri Lankan children to receive quality education. The Australian High Commissioner to Sri Lanka, Robin Mood, said that a sum of 4.6 billion rupees will be allocated for this purpose. This Australian aid will be channeled to Sri Lanka with the assistance of the World Bank. It will cover 4 million school children in the island, and among the project components were higher education facilities, the balancing of education levels at regional level, and social integrity promotion. 250,000 teachers and 3,500 officials in education management and administrative service will benefit through this program. The Australian fund will be used to expand common facilities in schools, changing of syllabus, and to provide vocational education for the teachers.
Well, activities of various divisions of the Sri Lanka Police Department are to be discussed on the Sunday I1 live program on National Rupavahini tomorrow. The theme is The Police for the People. A rehearsal of Sunday I1 live program was held at the Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation premises this evening. The aim is to create a wide awareness on various sections of the police and to improve public confidence. Sri Lanka Police Department has a long history spanning up to the year 1980, or rather, year 1866. The history of the police, crime investigations, traffic control, fingerprint, official sniper dogs, mounted police force, bomb disposal unit of the police task force, fire brigade and rescue unit, as well as the police CCTV system will be highlighted during the program. Sunday Ibuan live program will telecast over Rupani from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. tomorrow. Well, let's look at local news. Stay with us. International news is coming up next.
Nature's Secrets Moisturizing Lotion. Soft, supple, lovable skin.
And it's time to dive into international news now. At least 90 people, including many children, have been killed in Syria's Restiv Homs province, opposition activists say, calling it a massacre. They said scores are wounded in the violence in Hola as government forces shelled and attacked the town. Shocking footage has emerged of the bodies of children killed as part of one of the bloodiest attacks in one era since a nominal truce began in April. The UN said international monitors were heading to the area and fighting in Syria has continued despite the deployment of some 250 UN observers monitoring a ceasefire brokered by UN envoy Kofi Annan, a ceasefire which BBC's Jim Muir in neighboring Lebanon says now barely exists. The UN says at least 10,000 have been killed since an uprising began in March 2011 against President Bashar al-Assad's rule. An activist in Hola told the Associated Press news agency that troops began the assault on Hola after an anti-regime demonstration following Muslim prayers on Friday.
Well, Egyptians will choose between the Muslim Brotherhood and a candidate from the Mubarak-era regime when the presidential election goes to a runoff, state media confirmed. The Brotherhood candidate Mohamed Morsi has a slight lead on the former PM Ahmed Shafiq with a report of 25.3% of votes against 24.9%. The two represent forces that have battled each other for decades. The second round in Egypt's first free presidential polls is on 16th and 17th of June. Voting in the first round took place peacefully on Wednesday and Thursday. The official results will be announced on Tuesday, but state media have been reporting tallies from polling stations around the country and have now confirmed the two front runners.
Good evening. Welcome to the sports news with me, Chamindi Samarasekara. Carlton Super 7 rugby tournament kicked off at Bogambara Stadium in Kandy today. Ur Vipers and Jaffna Challengers were in the lead after the conclusion of today's matches. Jaffna Challengers remains unbeaten, winning all matches played today in the B group. Yoshita Rajapaksa is the captain of the team. Northern Gladiators have failed to win any match played today. Ur Vipers and Central Kings were in the lead in the A group. Jaffna Challengers, Western Warriors and North Central were leading in the B group. The finals of the first stage of the Carlton Super 7 rugby tournament will be worked out tomorrow. Royal College Colombo beat St. Anthony's College Kandy by 38 points to 7 in an inter-school rugby tournament match played at Royal Rugby Grounds in Colombo today. Royalists scored their 38 points of 4 goals and 2 tries. Royal College Colombo and St. Peter's College Bambalapitiya were in the lead in the first division. Trinity College Kandy beat Vidyartha Vidyalaya Kandy by 68 points to 7 in another match inter-school rugby tournament match played at Nithawala Stadium in Kandy yesterday. Trinity scored their 62 points of 11 goals, 3 tries and 2 penalties.
And on that sporty note, time to wind things up on Rupavahini News. Have yourselves a super Sunday.
Take care. Good night.